Before we begin, I would like to announce that Book 2, Hiles of Old, is already available in Amazon both in physical and digital format. You can also get Winged Horse Warrior so that you have the entire story. Thank you so much for your help and support. I hope that you really like it. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Hello everybody, how are you? I am ARTE, author of the War of Tears saga, and today I am very happy. And why is that, you may ask? Well, I am very happy because I just spoke to one person who might help me define the rest of my life. No, I'm not talking about a girlfriend. Do you really think that I am the kind of guy who has a girlfriend at age 16? No, I doubt I'll have a girlfriend until college, if I have one. Anyway, if you haven't already guessed by the title, today we're going to be talking about Ready Player One, the first book by author Ernest Cline, who shares many traits with me, or at least one that I know of, which is that both of us are nerds. And if that means anything, that both of us are introverts who like to spend their time recording videos. And you should be grateful because this joke is only to you English-speaking viewers. To the Spanish-speaking viewers, they got something else. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about Ready Player One, the first book in the Ready Player saga. It already has a second one, and even though I don't want to read it, I will because of you. So you should be grateful. This book came out in 2011 and is pretty much the treasure of all nerds. It's like oh my god, it's the greatest treasure for all nerd people that love the 80s. And as always, before we begin, we're going to give this book the POA, the Possibles Malediction, POA, POW according to its letters in Spanish. So what is the POW of this book? It is the... Oh my, this one smells good. This one I'm going to give a 9 out of 10. Which I don't remember if that's what I give it in the Spanish video, but anyway, discrepancies like this one may occur from time to time. Anyway, let's move on. So, as always, before we begin with the book, we're going to be speaking about our author here, who is Ernest Cline, the nerd of nerds, the obsessed with the 80s. Ernest Cline is an author who became very popular from one day to another. He used to be very obsessed with the 80s culture. He loved many movies, including especially Star Wars, and throughout most of his life he wanted to write something like Ready Player One. In fact, the idea had been brewing in his head for some time before he actually began writing it. And when he wrote Ready Player One, he managed to sell it, and it was sold in a bidding war to Penguin Random House. And during the writing of the book, he used all his love for the 80s while he wrote the book and just simply poured it into the book. Right? The book is 80s info plus 80s info, like constant more information on the 80s. And it's actually a very interesting book. I really like it. And if it couldn't be just so interesting, how about a book that speaks about Easter eggs, that has a real Easter egg with a real prize? And that prize is none other than a DeLorean from 1981. That's right, this book right here, which of course I grabbed upside down, is real. There is an Easter egg hidden in this book. And the prize of whoever found the Easter egg was awarded on 2012, and the prize was a DeLorean. So I'm pretty much going around in a million different topics right here, but I don't really have a structure for this video. I'm lying, it's right there. But anyway, he did the challenge, and later on he published in 2016 Armada. However, he had promised the audience another series, the sequel to Ready Player One, much before that. He promised that the book would come out, I believe, in 2012 to 2013, around the period of time. However, the book just recently came out last 2020. So Ernest Cline has published 3 books: Ready Player One, Armada in 2015, and Ready Player Two last year, which a very interesting fun fact, it came out in my birthday, so that's cool. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's speak about this book. So I doubt that I can do an actual review of Ready Player One before mentioning how incredible Oasis is as a world. I mean, why hasn't this video game been created yet? It's just so incredible. I mean, of course we don't have the technology, but someone should develop it just to create this game. I would love to explore Rivendell and the Middle Earth. It would be like my dream come true. It's just great. I would go everywhere, and just Oasis is like heaven. it's paradise. But anyway, speaking about the book, because I'm not going to stop with the plot and explaining how all that is, because if you at least haven't seen the movie, then you have to get at least some sense. You need to have at least some sense of what the story is about. So let's speak about my review. Let's go directly into my review. And what do I think about Ready Player One? So first of all, I like it more than the movie. Why? The movie is I just thought it was a little dumb. I mean, why wouldn't people realize in an Easter egg hunt that there might be invisible walls? I mean, it's just so obvious. It's like one of the first things that you do. And even if it's not that, even if someone didn't realize that there had to be an invisible wall, then at least you should have. I mean, someone should have put on the reverse accidentally at least once, right? I mean, it's just so it's so easy to find the first key. I mean, it's just too easy. However, in the book, that problem is resolved. The story in the book is much more interesting because not only do you have to find the key, but you have to find the door that the key opens, and you have to do both of those things in order to go up in the leaderboard. In the leaderboard. So the story, in that sense, it is much more interesting in the book than in the movie. However, the plot is still boring at times. I mean, most of it, like 90% of it, I loved. Just like that. I really enjoyed most of it. However, there were some scenes here and there that I didn't really like. Which were those scenes? The one that I remember the most, that I have the most present here, is the scene in which Wade gets the extra life. In the book, in the movie, I mean, it's more interesting. In the book, however, for me, that scene was just boring, long, and just exhausting to read. I barely remember anything. I just remember that he spent like hours working on that video game, reaching the highest score possible, only to receive a coin that wasn't even the key. So that scene, it was just plain tiring. And however, most of the rest of it was just very interesting. I really liked the plot after that, especially when he has to infiltrate the IOI. And I mean, it's just a very interesting series, a very interesting. Very, very, very interesting book. Very interesting plot. And I'm repeating myself like 10 times now. Why is that happening? Anyway, characters. I really like Wade Watts. I mean, he has various character flaws. I hear that in book 2 that is only a lot bigger. But in this book, he has character flaws. However, he ends up growing. He ends up discovering for once that he doesn't want to live in Oasis. That he wants to live in the real world with the girl, Artemis, whatever her name was. And Wade is a very interesting character. Holiday is just her average introvert. Holiday's friend, whom I cannot remember that well, is also fleshed out, interesting. And I liked Artemis, H, and the other two, the Japanese guys. I like them. They are very interesting characters. And I would have liked to have seen more women in the book, because you have H, who you don't even know she's a woman until the end, and then you go directly back to calling H a he, because that's what Wade is accustomed to. So she had like one chapter where it is revealed that she is a woman. Then you have Artemis, the aunt, and the girl who Holiday loved. That's like the only women that appear in the whole story. So I would have liked to see more women. we didn't see that many characters, however, so it kind of makes sense that of the characters that we did see, there were 4 women, and well, there were still many more boys, but it wasn't like just a huge cast like in the Wheel of Time, for example. So yeah, I would have liked to have seen more characters, more women especially, and yeah. So as for the plot, back to the plot a little. Why would hell did they do all that in the movie just for a friend? I mean, just like, oh yeah, it's he did all that to show how much he liked your friendship. I mean, yeah, but no. It's kind of, why would you do that? Why can't you just go on in front of him, even if you're an introvert, and say, hey, person who is very fond of me and whom I am very fond of, I like you. You could pretty much say that, right? I mean, or maybe I'm not as introvert as I used to be. Who knows? Let's move on. Also, I liked more that this book was more violent than the movie. I mean, the movie had to be a PG-13, so they did end up avoiding some topics, some scenes that end up going on here. Like, here, many people are just killed instantly when the tower falls, right? When Wade's house is attacked. I mean, even though the aunt is also killed in the movie, there are just many more people here. Here, it's a lot more brutal than it was in the movie. And also, the Daito, I believe that was his name, he suffered greatly in that book. I mean, greatly, and not just Daito, but I mean, in the books, in the movie, they just like arrive. They know each other from the very beginning, which is very. I didn't like that decision that I mean, it used to be only Wade and H, only those two in the book, and in the movie, they already know Daito and Shoto, whose name they changed to Sho in the movie, and I didn't like that. And I mean, well, they get to meet Artemis later on in both book and movie. It's still better in the book. I still like it more in the book than in the movie. So yeah, that's a little bit with characters. Now we can go to the execution of this book. And the execution is, well, of course it's a good book. I mean, what did you expect? It's like, it had a bidding war in order to be won. And once it was won, it like became the number one New York Times bestseller, or at least just a New York Times bestseller. It doesn't say number 1 here, but I mean, it became a bestseller, and it did so well when it came out, and then the movie came out, and that was also a very good movie. I mean, of course it's a good execution, not level Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, but it still has a good execution. And, well, I guess that's it, except that because it's Ready Player One, I have to mention the references. And it's that this book, this monster here, is plagued with references. They're just brimming everywhere. And you have references, even though it's mostly the 80s, there's also references to the 60s and the 70s. So you have references to those 3 decades. And they're just pouring all over the place. Also 90s a little. And there's even a reference to Lord of the Rings, which is like the Lord of the Rings movies, which came out in 2001, 2, and 3. So you have various references, not only to the 80s, but to more present things too. And speaking about the Lord of the Rings, some of those references, even people like, even experts on the 80s would not understand. I mean, I'm not an expert on the 80s. I am not like super thrilled by the 80s. I like the music. I like Queen and Elton John and Michael Jackson and the likes. In fantasy, I know that George R. R. Martin began writing Game of Thrones, and Robert Jordan began writing The Wheel of Time, and books came out by other authors, but I'm not really that pulled into the 80s culture. I mean, of course Star Wars came out in the 80s, that's like obvious, but I'm not really that delved into the story. So, yeah, there were many references here and there that I would have liked to have them explained a little what they are. And in the movie that's a little more well treated. Like it's better treated. in the book, in the movie. Sorry, I'm just confused. Sorry. However, I'm okay if they don't want to explain every single references. It would get tiring after a while. However, if you are going to explain a reference, then don't explain Rivendell, which everybody knows. You should not explain Rivendell. Why don't explain one of the myriad other references that you made across the book that nobody except you and 3 others will ever understand? Why Rivendell? I mean, why would you explain Rivendell of everything? I mean, of all things, Rivendell. Imladris. Maybe if you've said Imladris instead of Rivendell, I would understand why you would have explained it a little, but like they literally say, "Oh, that looks like Rivendell." Rivendell, like the Lord of the Rings. We know that. We know that, and that's why the references, even though they're cool from time to time, they're also a bit annoying, because when he doesn't explain, it's annoying. And when he does explain, it is also annoying because he explains the obvious ones. So yeah, that's essentially my review for Ready Player One. And even though I liked it, it was a very good book. It was not perfect, of course. And sorry, this book I'm going to give a 73 out of 100. A 73 out of 100, it is what it deserves. I believe that's fairly good. I really enjoyed the dynamic, and yeah, that's officially it. So anyway, guys, I really hope that you have enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, like, and put your comment, put your opinion on the comments. I would really love to read them. Anyway, thanks so much. I will see you later, and yeah, I will go be happy because of what happened earlier, which wasn't a girlfriend. I'm telling you. Do I look like the guy who has a girlfriend at this age? No, I'm an introvert. Thank you. Anyway, goodbye. Thanks so much for watching this video. Check CASA ARTE México, Plática Artística. I will leave everything down below. Check my books too. They're very good. I mean, of course they're good. They're in my knee. Anyway, see you tomorrow or later. Not tomorrow. Why tomorrow? See you later. Bye.